Arjun, everyone else is going to be coming in, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Guys, can you download the heat map and table calculation file from the TWX file sections?
Yes.
And I'm also adding one more thing, which is build a scatter plot. So I want you all to download that also. Uh, Guys, everyone, can you download the two particular files? The first one is build a scatter plot. The second one is heat map and table calculations. People who have just joined in, there are two files that I've uploaded in the file section of TWX files. The first one is heat maps and table calculations, and the second one is creating a scatter plot. Can you just download those two things? And the first thing that I rather want you to open is a previously set up file in your system, which will be create a hierarchy. All right. So open up that file first. We'll be working on create a hierarchy first, and then we'll be working on the scatter plot and the other file. Let me know once you all are ready with the create a hierarchy sheet opened up, and then we'll start off. So just put a raise of hands when you open up the create a hierarchy sheet. Guys, just raise your hands once you'll have opened the create a hierarchy sheet. Okay, Nidhi, is your system ready?
No, sir, my Tableau is loading.
Okay, Shubh,
Yes.
is it ready? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so could you just always raise your hand, please, when you're done with? Okay, so today there are only 10 people in the meeting. All right, okay. I've started the recording, so that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, all right. So what I want you to do is have a look at this particular sheet, which is create a hierarchy. So today we are going to be starting off with the with how tables work, okay, how analysis works, and what kind of calculations are available to us. So as I mentioned to you that we would have not just the sum as an aggregation. We work with average, we work with standard deviation or percentage of total. All of these are particulars that we work with, right? So how do you do that is what we are going to look into today. Similarly, we are also going to look into if particular things are not available, which means that if you look at the fact that I wanted to see, let's say the difference between two dates. Okay, so I wanted to know what is the difference in the date between my order date and between what is my ship date. Okay, or my arrival date. Then I would have to do a date difference between this ship date and order date, and that is not going to be there as a standard field, so I need to create these particular calculations, right? So that is nothing but what our calculation editor is going to be doing. So if you see this particular field, which will not be there in your file, right? Can you see this particular thing that has been created, shipment delay?
No, sir.
No, can you see it on my particular this thing?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
so it will not be there in yours because this is a calculated field that I have created. Okay, so we will try to understand how we can create fields which are not there in the particular view. All right, so if you realize that this particular profit ratio, all right, so profit ratio, how do the this is not a field that is present per se in your sheet. This is also a calculated field. So if you realize, how do you understand the fact that it's a calculated field? If you see over here, all of these have a hash symbol, and over here you have a equal to hash. Okay, so wherever there is a equal to hash, it means that this is not an original field from the data. This is a manipulated field, which means something has been done on the original data to get this particular equation. Okay, now, the first thing that we are going to do is figure out what exactly are the calculations that we can do with this particular sheet, and how exactly can they play a part in analyzing any sort of fields that we have. Okay, now what I want all of you to do is this particular thing. Okay, so the first particular thing that I want you to do is take the category, so in your product demographics. Okay, go to your product demographics, and you should see your category out over here in the product category hierarchy that we've created. So go to category and increase the hierarchy to show subcategory. Then what I want you to do is take the order date. Okay, take the order date and place it on the filter. So I want only the year 2014. So if you realize, the data that is present is, so if I remove this particular filter, let me just show you. If I remove the filter, what happens? Can you see over here? This is the data that I have. So 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014 is the data that I have. All right, so the first particular thing I want you to do is place the year on columns, deaggregated 2 quarters. Okay, and then take the year order date filter, take the order date and place it on the filter, and I want you to only check in the year 2014. Okay, so how do you do that? Take the order date, place it on filters, select years, go to next. In that, it should ask you 2011, 12, 13, 14. Just remove all of them and just keep 2014. Once you're done till here, so I want you to push your hand feature down, and only when you complete this, re-raise your hand. Only when you complete this, re-raise your hand. So this is the view that I want. Place the category on rows, place the year, so which is the order date, on the columns, disaggregate it to the quarter, and because I want to look at first how calculations actually are taking place, I'm looking at only the year and quarter. Remember that you can go even to months in this, you can go to weeks in this, so okay, days in this. So if you realize that, you can disaggregate it to whatever value you want. As of right now, just to show you how calculations will work, I'm looking at this particular quarter only. So ideally what you should have is, instead of this that you're seeing, let me know if you all are seeing this. You should just be seeing this.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. Once you're complete, please raise your hand so that I know you all have completed. Amber, Yash, any problems?
No, sir.
Okay. Amber, done? Okay. All right. Now, what I want to do is that, let's assume that so I'm looking at all kinds of calculations. Okay. The first thing that I would want to know is that over here, if I can see the contribution, all right, the contribution of bookcases quarter on quarter is this, right? So I want to know, let's say, what is the total contribution that bookcases is doing for a particular year, okay? Or what is the total contribution in terms of sales? So if everyone getting this number? Yes, no? ये सब लोग को आ रहा है इतना, या आपके यहाँ पे ABC ऐसा कुछ आ रहा है?
Number.
सबके यहाँ पे numbers आ रहे हैं, right? So you all have put
Sir,
sales.
I am getting ABC.
हाँ, so anyone who's getting ABC, what you do is take sales from here. Okay, so you'll have subcategory, right? Take sales from here, and when you see a black box, drop it over there and you'll see the number.
Yes, sir, got it.
Got it? Okay, yeah. So now we have this particular thing. So now I want to see what is the contribution of bookcases in all the 4 quarters, or chairs, or furnishings, or tables. So if I want to do that, I want to see a calculation which is row wise, right? So I want to see the total row wise. In order to do that, what will I do? I want you all to see over here something called as analysis. Okay, go to analysis, go to analysis, go to totals, and check this box called as show row grand totals, and check if you're getting this particular row grand totals for each of them. Nidhi, Raj, Arjun, getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, once I have this done, let us assume that I not just want to read the table horizontally, which means I just don't want to know only about bookcases in this particular quarter, but I also want to know not just quarter on quarter, but I also want to know how did each of this particular set of people contribute to my full first quarter. All right, so now I want to see only my first quarter data. So I want to see how each of these guys is contributing. So I would rather want to see the total below, which means कि मुझे इन सब का टोटल मिला के सेल्स चाहिए. ओके, सो क्वार्टर 1 में फर्नीचर के कैटेगरी में ये चारों ने कैसे काम किया, ये कैसे काम किया, और ये कैसे काम किया. ऑलराइट, which means I want to see the table now downwards and not row wise. So I want to see it column wise. Okay, how do I do that? Again, go to analysis, go to totals, and check the box on show column grand totals, and you should see these particular values over here. Let me know once you all are done. Shubh, Harsh, Mankirat, any problems till here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Adrika, Yash, Arjun?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. Pugal, Raj, Amber and Prachita, anything till here?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So now what we have is nothing but we've got the totals column wise as well as row wise. Okay, so if I want to read the chart quarter on quarter, then I'm going to look at it in this particular way. If I want to read it on a column wise basis, then I'm going to see it in this particular way. Okay, now what if I wanted to see only the analysis of this particular pane? Okay, so what do you mean by a pane? This furniture is one pane, the office supplies is one pane, and the technology is another pane, right? So I wanted to see ki only, okay, just tell me what is happening in quarter one for furniture only. So I don't want to know, though I want to know the entire aggregation of all of them. I also want a granularity in what I want a granularity in understanding what exactly is quarter one faring for me in terms of just furniture or just office supplies. Similarly, I want to see the quarter on quarter story for each of these particular segregations. Okay, so if I want to see the subtotals out over here, what do I need to do? I need to again go to analysis, go to totals, and over there you will see this add all subtotals. Okay, I want you to check that particular column, and you should be able to see now a new column, which is, can you see over here, the total is now showing up in each pane. So now you have a row wise subtotaling. The row wise subtotaling will be adding to the ground total, because the grand total, because of the fact that it is an addition of the all the four quarters. So this and this figure is going to be the same, right? But over here I'm looking at, if somebody did ask me that, okay, in the furniture segment, could you give me just the numbers for quarter one, and now you have the total numbers for quarter one, that you made total sales of 217208 in quarter one, which comprised of bookcases, chairs, furnishings and tables. Okay, similarly you have this for quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, and over here. So has everyone done till here subtotals? Has everyone done till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so over
Yes,
here,
sir.
okay, so over here, if somebody did ask me that, could you tell me that how is the rank of, so which category is doing best in each quarter? Can you just let me know if that is the analysis that somebody does ask you? That, over here, if all of you all can see that this is 74,693, this is 114206, this is 163402, and this is 160895. So amongst the bookcases, which one has the highest sales, the quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, or quarter four?
Quarter 3.
Quarter three, which means that this is rank one, right? This is rank two, this is rank three, and this is rank four. So I want to see who consistently is at rank one or who consistently is at rank two. So which quarter? So this is basically done to figure out two particular things. Which of my quarters are slack months? What do you mean by slack months? कि दो चीजें रहती है. So if you consider bike sales, all right, bike sales or car sales. So if you realize कि दशहरा के टाइम पे normally bike sales and car sales would shoot up through the roof, whereas जो June to July or something of those particular months, or possibly April May months, these could be slack timings for your vehicles, right? So each of the particular set of things will always have slack months, and each of these particular things would always have high growth months. So you need to be able to identify which one are your slack months, so that you can identify and get in new products to compensate for your slack months. Okay, and this can also be used where तो if you understand कि मुझे performance analysis करना है, so let's say I have an investment banking team, all right, and these investment banking this investment banking team is also responsible for doing product portfolios for high net worth investors. Okay, so I am looking at each of my team members. So let's assume that I'm the regional head for a particular company, and I'm looking for, okay, my this particular guy, I'm paying him 20 lakhs as my annual package. How much is the numbers that he's getting in, say, in quarter one? How much numbers is he getting in quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four? Similarly, I have another employee and she is doing a salary of possibly 25 lakhs, and she's getting X numbers, Y numbers, Z numbers, or each quarter. Now, from here, I can also identify the patterns of the employees. What do I mean by patterns of the employees? Let's say कि मेरा एक quarter का sales already हो गया, so the target that was given to me was 50 lakhs per quarter, and I'm already finished off 2 quarters का thing in the first quarter itself. So does that mean that in the second quarter I did not get any sales at all because I just was in a slack period कि मेरा तो काम हो गया यार, मैं क्यों ये करूँ? So this analysis can also be used to find out patterns in the behavior of sales customers, can be used to find out your quarter on quarter sales, which are slack months and all of that. And how would you do that is by something called as a very simple rank calculation. Okay, let me show you what is a rank calculation. So now we've understood that there are subtotals. Okay, so I'm going to remove these subtotals as of right now. So I want you to do a control Z, okay, and I'll show you what exactly will the rank calculation do. Okay, now where will I see the rank calculation? If you see over here, I've got sum of sales, right? I'm going to do over here, instead over here, come down and check quick table calculation. Okay, in quick table calculation you should see something called as a rank. All right, click on that, and can you see, so the grand total does not make any sense out over here, okay, because all of these will add to 1 because it's a row wise, yeah, right? So check over here if you realize what's happening. Can you see over here, this was 163 something, right? So I told you that this guy is nothing but the best particular quarter, so that's the reason why this particular quarter is at rank 1. Then this was somewhere around 160, so this is at rank 2. Then I had this at 114, so this is rank 3, and this is at rank 4, right? Now, like I mentioned to you, that if you realize, if I do a count distinct of the number of ones, I can realize that, okay, if this was my employee performance, if everyone would have realized that quarter 1 में सबके सब ढीले पड़े हुए हैं, कोई भी काम नहीं कर रहा है, right? So if you see that in quarter 1 I'm either making the lowest sales, or my performance of all my employees are extremely slack behavior, but as the quarter progresses, everyone is starting to pull up their sleeves, and everyone is now moving to stronger and stronger sales. So if you realize that in the quarter 3 and quarter 4, you can realize that in this particular case, these guys are doing extremely good sales. So possibly, there could be discount months, there could be festive sales, all of this that is happening, which we can identify by using this rank calculation, right? Has everyone understood where you will use rank calculations? Yes, no? Anyone, any questions? Anyone, any
Yes.
questions? Okay. Okay, so if everyone realizes that this particular thing, so the moment you do a quick table calculation, all right, the moment you do a quick table calculation, a triangle appears over here in the marks card. Okay, I want you to do a control Z again. Okay, so now that you know what is a table calculation, what is a rank calculation, I'll show you what exactly also is needed when you're looking for something else. Okay, so rank calculation, you will approach from where? Quick table calculation, and over here rank. Okay, now do a control Z and come back to your original figures. Okay, everyone with me till here? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now have a look at something else that I'm doing. So now over here, I was working with the sum of sales, right? So instead of sum of sales, let us assume that I wanted average of each quarter ka sales. Okay. So over here, the aggregation currently is what sum. Let me just change it and make this into average. So I want all of you to do that. Go to the marks card, change the sum of sales to average, and check over here if your values are coming in on the horizontal axis as well as the columns. Everyone check if you're getting these values.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you realize this is not grand total, right? So this is my average total, right? So I'm going to change the name of this particular thing. How do I change the name? Right click on grand total, okay, and go to format. Right click on the grand total, click format, and you should see a label over here, okay. Make this as average, and similarly in the grand total, you will see that the moment you click it, it will show you an average over here. Perfect. Similarly, if all of you all can realize this is also not the grand total, let me also change this. Right click, format, and make this again as average. Done till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Now,
can you show again?
yeah, so right click on the grand total, format, and this will appear. Just change the totals ka label to average. Automatically the grand totals ka label will change to average. Similarly do that for this particular average that you see over here, because this is average value, right? This is not total value. So this is average value, hence it should represent that particular thing, right? So now jahan pe sum of sales tha, now if you see that the aggregation has changed to average of sales, right? Now what I want all of you to do is take any row. All right, take any row. So row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, whichever row, I want you to find the average of this and check if it is matching this value. Ideally it will not. Take any particular row and check if your average matches with what you see. So use your PC calculator and check if this is the right value. So let's take the first one. What's the value for the first one?
It's 613.7.
All right, so first one is wrong, 613.7, and we are getting 610. Let's check the second one. So write these numbers down somewhere. All right, so use your notes or something like that and write down these numbers that you know. The first one I'm getting it wrong, so Tableau is throwing a wrong value for average, and Tableau is throwing 610. As opposed to that, ideally on our system we are getting 613. Go to the second one, tell me what is the value.
428.9.
How much?
428.9.
428.9. So this is also wrong. Go to the third one and check.
$121.6.
121.6. Just make sure that you'll write this down somewhere and calculate for the fourth one. What's the value for the fourth one?
850.9.
850.9. So none of these values are matching, right? So is Tableau wrong? Or is Tableau doing something different? Yes, people who attended my June-July course, I believe you should be able to answer this.
So
Anyone?
it's taking average ka average.
No. Check your average ka average, it will not come to this value. Average of what value you're saying?
It's
Yeah, go ahead.
so it's using weighted averages, I
It
think.
is using weighted averages. Excellent. So if you realize what's happening over here is, I want you to remember the values that are there over here and the values that you've written down. I'll show you a particular analysis as to what's happening over there. All right. I want you to go to analysis. Okay. Go to analysis, and over here, go to total all using, and in that go to average. All right, in analysis go to totals, in totals go to total all using, and in that I want you to click average, and I want you to check if you are getting the exact values that you wrote down.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if you realize there is something called as local averages and weighted averages. Okay. Now, when will you use local averages and when will you use weighted averages? The first particular thing I want you all to understand is weighted averages कब use होगा. एक simple example जो which I had given in the prior course also is something like this. If everyone understands that, if I look at the year 2020, all right, the first particular quarter of this year will have zero manufacturing, zero sales, zero this, everything would be at zero, right? Now, if I have to assign a particular weight to a quarter, which means if I was taking the mean of all the 4 quarters, let's assume I'm taking a mean of all the 4 quarters. If you realize that zero, so let's assume that my mean in my other 3 quarters is uh, let's say a value 4. All right, so what was I doing? I was having a value mean of 4 in quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 is nothing but 12. And ideally, if I looked at a year on year, I would have seen that okay, 4 was also the value in the prior year. So ideally, I would have achieved a sales target of 4, let's say, right? So my mean would have been 4 if at all this particular incident of COVID-19 would have not happened, which means that in this particular case, my mean got disturbed because of a particular one-off activity which has happened, and I need to ensure that this is an activity which cannot be assigned the same weight as the other 3 quarters, which means if everyone can understand, आपको जो ये सेमेस्टर में मार्क्स मिले जिसमें आपने सिर्फ एमसीक्यूज दिए या फिर ये दिए, as against that, for all the other years where you've given written tests, if I have to take an average between the two, I will always assign a higher weighted average to all the times where you've written, the exam in college. And what I'll always do is the fact कि okay, ये तो सेमेस्टर में इनको एमसीक्यू दिया गया था, ये दिया गया था, so I will not assign the exact equal weight to that particular exam that you all have given in terms of an MCQ. Why? Because of a certain aspect that happened during that time, right? So over here, Tableau by default will understand what are the, so what it does is basically it peeps inside the data, and instead of taking total sales ka just divide by that particular number, it actually looks at each of the numbers within and takes an internal average. Okay, so an internal average of each of these taken to provide these particular numbers, and that is why when it does a weighted average, it does not take into consideration this q1 q2 q3 q4. वेटेड एवरेज वो उसके इंटरनल जो नंबर्स है, मतलब क्वार्टर 1 का बुक केसेस का हर एक वैल्यू वो ऐड करेगा और उसका एवरेज निकालेगा. Similarly quarter 2 का, similarly quarter 3 का. So when it is taking a weighted average, the number will always be lesser than the localized average. Why? Because of the fact that over here I'm looking at a localized average which is a plus b plus c by 4, whereas as opposed to the fact over there I'm actually taking into account ki, so ideally if I have to go by the first scenario कि 0 प्लस 4 प्लस 4 प्लस 4 ये मेरा आइडियल ये था, राइट? तो I cannot assign a 0 to the first quarter, so I'll assign a weight in such a way that last time तो मेरा 4 आया था, right? तो यहाँ पे what am I doing? So if you understand banks write off loans on some particular aspect in a particular period when you classify the loan as a non-performing asset, right? तो मैं क्या करूँगा कि ये महीने में किसी का भी कुछ भी हुआ नहीं है, तो मैं इसको वेट ऐसे असाइन करूँगा कि मैं ना इसको 0 दे सकता हूँ ना मैं इसको 4 दे सकता हूँ. पर मेरे लास्ट ईयर में इसको 4 मिला था, but I have not done anything in this quarter, so rather let me not assign 4 as the weight to it, let me assign a 3.9 or a 3.8 to it. So ideally if you realize if you would have done the value of sales as 4, it would have been 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 divided by 4, so it would have come to 4. But because there was nothing assigned to it in the quarter, there was zero manufacturing activity, I could not give it a 0 because my entire mean would have got shifted and this would have reflected on my balance sheet. So what did I do? I assigned in the minimum value weight such that my value came out to be not 4 but 3.8, 3.9, and hence my weighted average will not be the localized average, it will be a tad bit lesser than the local average. Have you understood why this number is coming out to be 613 as against if I control Z this, the value which Tableau throws out as 610? Has everyone understood this? Yes, no? Anyone, any questions? Please ask. This is very important, all right? So otherwise somebody will just doubt your calculation. अरे तुम्हारा Tableau तो गलत आंसर दे रहा है, 610 किधर है, मैंने कैलकुलेटर पे मारा तो 4, इसका 613 आ रहा है, right? So if you understand, you need to know what is happening internally if you have to explain the client कि this is taking into account a weighted average and not a local average. Has everyone understood this? Yes, no? Anyone, any questions? Please ask.
Understood, sir.
Okay. Shubh, Mankirat, Yash, any question till here?
No, sir.
Okay. Adrika, Amber and Arjun, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Harsh, Prachita, Pugal?
No, sir.
No, sir. No.
No, sir. Understood.
Okay. Raj, Shubh and Yash?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so going ahead, now I understood that, okay, these are my averages and this is my weighted average, and if I want a localized average, I can supersede the weighted average. So remember, Tableau gives you a way to supersede it. How do you do that? Totals and total all using average, all right? So that will give you your localized average. Okay, now again do a control Z and go back to your original figure of 160,000 wala jo tha wo. So sum of sales wala. So go back to your original figures. Let me know once you've reached this particular thing. Okay, so now if you realize that there is something called, so this particular thing is nothing but my sum of sales, right, of each of them. Now I'm again going to quick table calculation, so I want you to have a look at this very carefully. When I have no delta over here, which means that if I have not performed any quick table calculation, okay, so this is currently the first set of data that we had. We have not performed any quick table calculation. Tabhi, if you see over here, there will be nothing called as compute using, all right? So I want you to remember this very carefully कि compute using में कब आएगा वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ, पर अभी के लिए सिर्फ आप चेक करो कि यहाँ पे कहीं पे भी compute using का field नहीं है, alright? And when is this possible? When this delta is not present, alright? Now I tell you why I'm going to be telling you this in a moment, alright? Now what I want you to do is do a quick table calculation, and I want you to check first of all what is the running total. Okay, do a running total, and can anyone tell me what are these values? Go to quick table calculations, do a running total table, and tell me what are these values. ये values कैसे आए हैं 188? So if you realize, पहले ये values थे 74, 114, 163 and 160. Okay, then what I did was I did a quick table calculation. I went to running total, so I wanted to see what is my running total. What values is it giving? Yes, anyone?
So for example, Q4 is the sum of all the quarters,
Right,
and similarly Q3 is the sum of Q1, Q2,
perfect.
and Q1 will be Q1, Q2 will be Q1 plus the remaining.
So if everyone understands, when I want to look at running total, it means that my prior total is added to my current value. All right. So if you realize that the quarter two value was 114 plus this 74 is somewhere coming to 188, right? Then this 188 plus something, which is that 163 ka value, is giving you that 352. Then that plus 160 is giving you that 513. So this last value will always match with your grand total when you're doing a running total. अब running total कहाँ पे लगने वाला है? मुझे मेरा सेल्स का ये चाहिए कि मेरा फर्स्ट क्वार्टर, सेकंड क्वार्टर, थर्ड क्वार्टर, ईयर ओवर ईयर, क्वार्टर ओवर क्वार्टर मुझे प्रॉफिट चाहिए कि बस इफ माय टारगेट वाज टू रीच 100,000 in sales, where exactly am I reaching quarter on quarter? So this running total will always give you how far you are away from your goal. All right, so if this is 188 at that point, I know that I am this x delta away from my 100,000 that I want to build up. Okay, so running total always is used to show from left to right what exactly am I doing, okay, or where exactly is my current position with respect to my goal. Okay, now I want you to go again, do a control Z. So now that we've understood what the running total is going to do a control Z, and I want you to check percentage of total. Go to quick table calculation. Okay, and over here I want you to go to percent of total, and if you see over here that this book cases, how much it is contributing in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4 can be seen. Okay, similarly chairs quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 और quarter 4 में कैसे contribute कर रहे हैं ये आ रहा है. So total if you'll see over here is 100%, right? So I know that in my all 4 quarters my bookcases contributes, in the first quarter it's contributing to a meager 14%, and then it is increasing in this particular thing. Similarly my chairs or my furnishings or my tables. So the quarter 4 is basically, I can consider it to be my best particular quarter, right? Now what is this particular thing telling you? It is giving you a percentage of the total, right? And over here if you see that the calculation has gone table across. Okay, so this is called as table across. But if somebody told you that I want to see the contribution of all of these guys rather in quarter 1, right? So I want to see across all my 3 categories, which is furniture, office supplies and technology. I want to see rather a calculation which is going to go column wise and not row wise. So basically I want to see below over here 100%, I want to see over here below 100%, over here 100% and over here 100%, right? So what I am looking for is what is the contribution of each subcategory only for quarter 1, and in order to do that I need to change the sequence of operation. Okay, the sequence of operation was going row wise in this table. I want to change it to column wise. How do I do that? Now I want you to see this carefully quickly. यहाँ पे डेल्टा अब आ गया है मार्क्स कार्ड में, क्योंकि आपने एक क्विक टेबल कैलकुलेशन परफॉर्म किया. वो क्विक टेबल कैलकुलेशन क्या था? परसेंटेज ऑफ टोटल. ओके, अब I'll show you something. Can you see over here a new field has appeared after you did the quick table calculation? Do you see the compute using field now in your data pane? Yes, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So if everyone understands, this field will not be visible to you until and unless you have performed a quick table calculation. Okay. So अगर सिर्फ sum of sales रहेगा तो ये आपको compute using दिखेगा नहीं. The moment you do a quick table calculation, it will first give you a choice. Do you want to work on this data row wise, or do you want to work this data column wise? And now if you see what I'm going to do, all right, so I'm going to go to my compute using, and what did I say? I want to look at it column wise. So instead of table across, I want you to check up on table down, and let me just do a totals out over here. Go to analysis, all right, and in totals, in case if you've removed the column grand totals, you should see over here at the bottom 100% now. So if you now see, the total bookcases of Q1, Q2 is 11.94% of the entire product portfolio that I have. Chairs contribute in all the 4 quarters 11.47. So if you realize, from here I can also understand how each quarter is doing, and also what is the total contribution of each of these guys to that particular sector. Okay, so for that particular quarter, if I'm looking at that, this is 100%, right? Which means I'm looking at how each of these guys is contributing to my quarters, and from that I can understand that, okay, you know, how is my first, how is my second, how is my third, or how is my fourth quarter. Did everyone understand how to do compute down, compute table down? Yes, no? Or rather, how to use compute using? Yes,
Yes,
no?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if somebody did ask you that, you know, I don't want, give me also along with this analysis, give me what's happening in just the furniture category, right? So I want to know, you know, this percentage of contribution that you're showing me for the full particular Q1 across all the 3 segments. Could you give it to me in terms of, you know, just the furniture category, just the office supplies category, and just the technology category, right? So now have a look at the same particular operation being performed on the pane. So I'm going to do now a compute using, all right, and in the compute using, can you see over here, I've got a pane across, which is nothing but the horizontal, and a pane down. All right, I'm going to select pane down, and now check over here, this is changed to 34, 41, 9 and 15, which means if I'll add this, so how do I know that it is 100%? Go to analysis, okay, and in totals do an add subtotal, and check now if every column is giving you an exact 100%. So there's a 100% over here for this particular thing, okay, there's a 100% over here for only office supplies, and there's a 100% over here for only technology. Are you understanding how the calculation changed? All right, so these numbers, you should know what exactly are you getting when you are doing this. So जब आप पूरा टेबल वाइज कंट्रीब्यूशन कर रहे हो तो ये नंबर्स अलग है, जब आप रो वाइज कर रहे हो तो ये नंबर्स अलग है, जब आप पेन डाउन कर रहे हो ये नंबर्स अलग है, right? So when I'm looking at pane down calculations, I am looking at only the furniture category, and in the furniture category in Q1, bookcases contributed 34%, chairs contributed 41%, furnishings contributed 9.49%, and tables calculated 15.12%. So this 100% is restricted only to this pane. Then this particular pane has its own 100%, and this particular pane has its own 100%. Has everyone understood this? People who have understood this, could you all just raise your hands? People who have not understood, you can ask any questions that you want. All right, perfect. Okay. Okay. So now we've got nothing but our, just one second. Yeah. Now we've understood what is our percentage of total calculations and how do we get that and how do we use compute using. Okay. Now I wanted to check one more thing. Okay. So remember always, if you want to remove the table calculations that you're performing, you have this clear table calculation. Okay, so if you do a clear table calculation, it will just take you back to your original calculation. Okay, now over here again, if you go to quick table calculation, remember that if you do a percentage difference, okay, let's see what percentage difference is going to do. Can everyone check what has happened? Can anyone tell me what sense does this make to you? What exactly has happened? Always remember the first row का figures हमेशा याद रखो. First row पे शायद से 74,000 something था, यहाँ पे 114 something था, यहाँ पे 163 था और यहाँ पे 160 था. Okay, so you had 74, you had 163, you had 114, then 163 and then 160. Now if you can remember these numbers, can you tell me what has happened to the first column and what exactly is this percentage difference giving you?
So I think is the difference.
Yeah, change between first and second quarter.
Perfect. Why has the first one gone blank?
Because there's nothing to compare with it.
There is nothing to compare with it. Excellent. So if everyone understands that the first quarter is nothing but providing you a reference line कि आपको चाहिए percentage difference, पर मेरा quarter one ऐसा है कि मैं इसको किसके साथ compare करूं? Sorry, anyone, any question? Okay, so if everyone realizes over here, I don't have anything over here to compare it to, right? So this serves as my reference, and then I'm looking at what how good was my quarter two with respect to quarter one. So quarter one ka 74,000 whatsoever is taken as the reference value. So if you see over here, this was 114 point something, right? So basically there is a 50% increase. So the actual figure is coming out to be 52 point something, and that is nothing but your 114 ka figure. Okay, then your third figure, if you realize, was 160. So if you realize that's not reaching your 50% mark, it's somewhere below the 43% is what you're looking at. Okay, and with respect to the 163, यहाँ पे quarter four में, if you realize that somebody took slack over here and did not do that amount of sales, so 163 से 160 आया, which means if you realize that is the reason why it shows you a drop in your sales, right? So from here, using this as a reference, I'm looking at what's happening on a quarter basis, which means what is the percentage of difference between the first quarter and between the second quarter, between the second quarter and between the third quarter, between the third quarter and between the fourth quarter. That's the reason why you don't have anything in the total or the grand total. You will see that over here. Okay, so the difference that it is creating on a total basis is 35.4, 28.2 and 23.8 on an overall perspective. Okay, on a granular perspective, it is 52.9 with respect to the first quarter, 43.1 with respect to the second quarter, and minus 1.5 with respect to the third quarter. All right, so everyone remember that this is compared only to the prior quarter. Okay, so you can similarly compare normally what is compared. So if you understand the share markets, or if you ever observed, quarter one of 2014 will not just be compared with the other quarters, but quarter one of 2014 will also be compared with the quarter one of 2015, 16, 17, 18, right? So quarter one of all those particular years will also be compared. Quarter two of those particular years will be compared, and so on. Are you understanding how you can find out the health of a particular portfolio of equities or mutual funds or whatsoever you're holding? You can do this quarter on quarter analysis to actually gauge that how sound the company is over a 5-year period or a 10-year period or whatsoever. Has everyone got this? Yes, no. What is percentage difference? Anyone, any questions till here? Has everyone got this? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
sir.
Okay, okay. Now going to the next one. Okay, if I go to the next one and have a look over here, so you've got a year over year growth, something that I was just talking about. All right, so you've got all of these particular things. Right now I'm just going to show you a year over year growth. I want you to figure out, has all of this been taught to you all in statistics? What is compound growth rate and all of these particular parameters? Yes, no? People, yes, no?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. So what I want you to do is, when you get the time, I want you to check each of these particular things, and you need to tell me what exactly is the difference that you all are going to see with respect to the prior figures. Let me just show you on a year over year growth. Okay, so if you do a year over year growth over here, it will not make any sense because of the fact that I'm just using the year 2014, right? So if I want to see the year over year growth, if you understand that the filter that I used first needs to be removed, right? So what I'm going to do is remove this filter off. Okay, and now because I want a year over year growth, I'm just going to kill off the quarter feed. All right, so I now have just this particular thing. All right, I'm going to clear my table calculation first. So now I have, the year over year sales of bookcases of in 2011, in 2012, in 2013, and in 2014. Okay, so if I want a year over year growth directly in terms of sales, all I need to do is go down again to quick table calculation. Okay, and do a year over year growth and check what happens. Again, the first column will just go off because that is the reference. And if you see over here, the year over year growth for bookcases has been 22.5, 18.26 with respect to 2012, and 36.48 with respect to 2013, which means if you look at my last particular thing, okay, which is my last column, I can understand that with respect to 2011, my company has grown by 18.5%. With respect to 2013, my company grew by 27%. Okay, and with respect to 2004, so 2014 with respect to 2013, it has grown by 26.25%. So if everyone realizes over here, I can do a year over year growth, as well as I can do a quarter over quarter growth, as well as I can do a quarter on quarter of different years ka growth. So I can filter out whatever so I want. So if I wanted 2013 and 14 का ही data और मुझे उसमें quarters में घुसना था, तो I would have just taken 2013 का quarter 1 and 2014 का quarter 1 and erased all the other data. So if I was looking at some sort of anomalies that have happened, so if I wanted to compare, so in the history of 10 years that will happen from now, you'll realize that a major event happened in the 2009 crisis and a major event has again happened in the 2020 crisis. So if I have to do an analysis of what happened in the 2009 job market scenario as against that what has happened in the 2020 job market scenario, then I will always be looking at only specific quarters out or there and figuring out, okay, during this particular time, what particular equities increased, what particular equities decreased, or what was the employment rate in 2009 and currently what is the employment rate in 2020. So your analysis can go as deep as you want it to go. All you need to do is understand how these calculations will be performed on a row to row basis, column to column basis, or a pane to pane basis. All right, has everyone understood how to do any calculations with respect to this over here? So using this was specifically with respect to quick table calculations. All right, so remember that you can work with sum. So I just showed you ki sum ka average I just showed you. You can work with median, count, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, population standard deviation, variance, and population variance. As we move ahead, I'll be showing you all of these particular things. As of right now, I just want you to understand कि सिर्फ sum और average के साथ ये इतना analysis हो सकता है. All right. Has everyone got this till here? Yes, no. People, can you just quickly raise your hands so that I know that you all have understood this? Adrika, Amber, Harsh. Yeah, okay. Harsh.
Yes, sir. Got you.
Okay, all right. Anyone, any questions till here? Anyone, any questions till here? Okay, all right. So proceeding ahead, this is what are my quick table calculations. Okay, now the next particular thing that I'm going to is how to generate or how to use the calculation editor. Okay, now what is a calculation editor? So let us assume that over here I do not have a certain field, which is what I said, right? That I want to figure out that this particular customer, is he or she an Amazon Prime customer, let's say. And if he or she is an Amazon Prime customer, which means that the order priority has been stated for that customer, how good or bad is my logistical supply chain? Okay, so I want to figure out that if I am the company Amazon and I have a logistic supply for delivering my products to my customers, and this particular customer being a Amazon Prime customer has constraint that you have to deliver it in 1 or 1.5 day. How bad am I doing in this, or how good am I doing in this, right? So in order to do that, I need two peculiar fields that I should be looking at. The first particular field, if everyone understands, is that who was the customer. Okay, so I need to know who was the customer. Then I need to know what was the order ID for that customer. Okay, so what was the either the product name or the ID for that particular customer. Then I want to know when that particular customer ordered it, and then I want to know when this particular when this particular your product got shipped, and when this customer received it. All right, so as of right now, if you see in this particular data, I don't have arrival date. Okay, so I'm just going to be using two particular dates. The ship date, I'm assuming that the time that the customer ordered, and from there to move out of the warehouse, so my pre-processing and then to move out of the warehouse, let us say that that itself is the delay that I'm looking into. Okay, so how do I do a created field which is not present in the data pane? Okay, and that is where we do our calculation editor. So looking at the second sheet in question, okay, if everyone understands, I'm going to create a new sheet. This sheet would not be available in your sheet that has been sent to you, right? So we are going to look at how to create this particular calculation. Now what I want you to do is go over here in the drop down, and you should see a create calculated field. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is whichever one you're going to be, let's say, using order date. So you can directly click on right click on order date, and over here you can do a create and calculated field, right? So there are two ways of doing this thing is same, except that you've got two ways of approaching this. Either you can do the drop down menu and create a calculated field, or on what particular field you're going to create the calculation, and you can just do a right click from there and do a create calculated field. All right, so now what is the calculated field that I want to create? In my particular case, I want to do a order date minus ship date. Okay, so or a ship date minus order date. So if you realize, what I have done is I've created a calculated field. Okay, so have a look at what is my calculated field. So I'm just going to show you edit. Okay, now where exactly did this particular syntax come in from? Okay, so I'm going to show you how exactly calculated fields work. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. Let us say that I approached it from here. I'm creating a calculated field. Okay, so I want you to do a drop down and call this as shipment delay. Okay, let's call this as shipment delay. So because for me shipment delay is, so let me just rename this as shipment delay market so that there is no this thing. Okay, now what I want you to do is see over here that the place where I'm going to write my calculation is this particular calculation editor. What particular calculations and functions are available to me? Have a look over here. If you see over here, this all basically tells you all the particular functions that you have associated with Tableau, which means right from absolute to average, buffer, character, ceiling, correlation, count, covariance, date functions, all of this include, exclude. So everything that you've done in Python, all right, every single command, if loops, for loops, is dates, every particular thing. So right from I believe you all have used the length functions, lookup functions, how to trim particular thing, all of this is available for your use in Tableau. Okay, one of the most beautiful things out over there is the fact that if you see, instead of all, let us assume that I was looking for, you know, aggregation functions. All right, all I need to do is from this all go to aggregate and check now. It not only tells you what functions it has, it also tells you what is the syntax in the way it is supposed to be written, and it gives you an example. So if you realize that if I want to, you know, see correlation का क्या करना है, तो correlation sales और profit को correlate करो, या फिर मुझे GDP और life expectancy को correlate करना है, तो I'm going to be using correlation and sales and profit. So over here it actually just directly tells you that what is it that you want to use. So I want median, I want, let's say, percentile, I want standard deviation. ये जो हम लोग वहां पे Python में कर रहे थे कि how do I you know include the statistics, include all of that, this is at the touch of a particular key with the particular aspect that it directly tells you how you're going to write the function. Okay, so this is just aggregate. If you see over here, I've got, let's say, table calculation, and can you see over here in table calculation, you've got running averages, boolean, you know, all of these. I mean, there are hundreds of functions that you're looking at, out of which I'll show you right now the one that we are going to be using. All right, so if you see, there are date functions. Okay, so you can also remember, you can convert string to integers, integers to whatsoever. All right, all of this is available over here. Okay, now let me just go to date functions and show you that you've got add date, date difference. So if you see add date, it adds an increment to the specified date and returns the new date. If you see date difference, which is what we need, returns the difference between the two dates where the start date is subtracted from the end date. The difference is expressed in units of date part. Okay, now what does it mean? If you are looking at the fact ki, you know, if this is something that we've started to work on, which is, let's assume that you know, DJ Sangvi mein koi to admission le raha hai, and let's assume that the admission process is going on and we are looking at how much time is this person enrolled for in our course. So you know, he or she is getting admission suddenly into VJTI, फिर VJTI में field नहीं मिल रहा है, तो SPIT में उसका number लगा, SPIT में से they are jumping between KJ Somaiya, DJ Sangvi. So over here we are looking at something called as enrollment date of the student, right? So how do I find out what is the enrollment date? I'm going to do a date difference between what was the time that he or she cancelled their admission and what was the time that he or she took the particular admission, right? This can also be used in SAP systems to also figure out how much is the refund that is supposed to be given to that particular student in question. Similarly, it can also be used to figure out the logistical supply chain delays. All right, so if you see all of this, date difference, date name, date pass, date truncation, or is week, is quarter, all of this actually points out to functions where you can understand your data in depth. Okay, now let's use the date diff function. So if you want to use a function, what you need to do is double click on that. All right, so over here it's telling me that the function has to be given a date part, which means, you know, you want the answer in days, you want the answer in weeks, months, years. How do you want the answer? So let's take the date def. I need to push in the day, week or month क्या चाहिए, और मुझे start date और end date डालना है. Okay, now let me just show you. Double click on date def. Can you see over here? It automatically asks you कि पहले date part डालो. Okay, so date part मेरा क्या है? मुझे day चाहिए. So I want to figure out the number of days between my ship date and my order date. So I'm going to do a day as my date part. All right. Then I need a start date. All right. So my start date was what? My order date. Now, the moment I push in OR, can you see over here? It automatically gives you the fields that you can put in. And over here, I'm going to look at my order date. Okay. Then I need my end date. What is my end date? My ship date. All right. So I'm going to do SHIP and automatically my ship date comes into picture. Okay. Now you push in the start of the week also as a part of the year ki, you know, attendance punches जो हम लोग के लगते हैं, right? Faculty attendance punches. So they'll always start off from Monday. So you can always do that as start of the week. Okay. So Monday is the start of week for me, or somebody's shift starts on Wednesday. So the start of the week, it will do a calculation on a week basis starting from the first particular Wednesday. All right. So as of right now, let's assume that I don't need that. Now, if you see over here, if I do something funny, it will always point it out over here. So if you see now, it is showing me calculation is valid, but have a look if I screwed up somewhere over here. So let us assume that I did not push this particular thing, which is the parenthesis at the end. Can you see नीचे calculation contains errors आया? Yes, everyone, right? So anything that you go wrong, all right? So if let's say I would have pressed an operator over here, let's say plus, okay, the calculation contains an errors. So over here, automatically, if you're moving a wrong syntax, it will automatically prompt you over here that, you know, you need to change the particular calculation. So I'll show you a certain particular calculation again where this error is going to be prompted. Okay, now the calculation is valid. So what I want you to do is, so I already have the shipment details. So you can, you know, you can name this as shipment details. Press OK, and you should see your function that you've created, or rather the calculation that you've created, come in as an excess field over here in the data pane. Have a look if you are getting that. Is everyone getting it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I can understand that, okay, now I've got you know, a shipment delay, which was not a field that was present. Now what am I going to do? I want to read this particular thing ki, what is the average shipment delay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take that particular field. Okay. And so before that, the first thing is I need to know whether this customer has what particular priority. Okay. So go to customer ID and place it on the rows. Go to customer ID and first place it on the rows. Okay. Then take the shipment delay. All right. Don't push in the order priority. Take the shipment delay which you've just created and drag it to the black box and drop it over there. So next to the customer ID, just drag and drop that shipment delay that you've created. And it should show you the sum of the total delay, right? Is it showing you that?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
But, yeah, but this is not what you want. You always want to know what is the average delay per customer, right? So change the aggregation from sum, which you'll see in the marks card, to average first of all. Okay, and now I want to first check out whether this customer is he or she a an Amazon Prime customer, or is it a normal customer? What exactly is the type of customer? So what am I going to do? I'm going to add one more granularity to the picture. I'm going to take the order priority, all right, and I'm going to drop it on columns and check. You should be able to see the particular thing as critical, high, low, medium क्या priority था, और अगर critical priority है तो वो कितने दिनों में हो रहा है, अगर high priority है तो वो कितने दिनों में हो रहा है, अगर low priority है तो वो कितने दिनों में हो रहा है, and same with medium. Check if you are going to be able to get it. If everyone is getting it, could you please, once you finish, raise your hand so that I know that you've completed it. Anyone, any problems, any questions, please ask. Okay, so Pugal, Prachita, Mankirat, any problems till here? Have you all understood how to do these calculations?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pugal, Yash.
Yes, sir.
Harsh and Arjun.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Raj and Nidhi.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Amber and Shubh.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And Adrika.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Okay. So I have understood what is a hierarchy. I've understood what is an aggregation quick table calculation. I'm now also understood what are date difference calculations. Okay. Now I'm going to take you to another sheet. All right. So we'll come to tree maps in some particular amount of time. I wanted to take you to another sheet where we are also going to figure out. So over here, till now we've just understood how to create this sort of a high-low priority things. Now let us assume that I also wanted to work with functions where you have postal codes and all of this, and I want to concatenate that. So let me just show that to you. We can do it actually even from here. Customer ID, I can take it. Order ID, I don't have a sales customer name. Okay, yeah, we can do that also from here, but okay, rather what you do is I want you to close, so just save till this particular sheet. All right, so I want you to just rename this as aggregations and calculations. So instead of hierarchies, I don't know what is there in your sheet, just change this to aggregations and calculations. Then these are date diff calculations, and I want you to just close this particular thing and go down to the second particular sheet, which is this heat maps and table calculations. So I'm just closing my first particular sheet, which is this create hierarchy as of right now, and I want you to see the particular sheet over here. Let me know once you all are ready with the sheet 2, which is heat map and table calculations. Can you see the particular sheet in front of you right now where this postal address can be seen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right? So yet, if you realize that there is no such field called as postal address over here, right? ये मैंने कहाँ से बनाया ये field? ये इन तीनों को combine करके मैंने ये field बनाया है, right? So if you all can understand that how concatenation happens when Amazon is actually delivering to a particular place, it's got all this customer data in different fields, right? So you've got name of the customer, the age, whether he or she is married, whether what kind of preferences he or she has in terms of clothes, blah blah blah, all of those particular things. Then they have particular addresses, and they are always concatenating columns to do as much granular analysis as possible. All right, now this is the second example, just like datediff, how calculation editors can work in order to create fields that have type conversion. Okay, so if you see over here, I have basically concatenated these three particular fields. Now, how am I doing that? Have a look at what exactly I'm going to do over here. So if everyone can see, I'm going to go back to my calculation editor. All right, so create a calculated field. And now over here, I want to say address, customer address. All right, so let us assume that I'm creating a field called as customer address, which, how am I getting it? Getting it by combining these particular things in the hierarchy. All right, in order to get the customer address, what fields do I require? I require the state, let's say I require the city, and let's say I require the postal code. Let's assume that. So or let's see if I have, okay, I have the customer name also. Okay, so let me first get the customer name. All right, so I've got the customer name. Okay, is everyone with me till here? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's forget the country. We are, let us assume that we are delivering only in US or we are delivering only in India, ऐसे करके. तो मुझे state चाहिए उसका. Okay, so I'm going to do a operation on this particular thing, that customer name plus the state. All right, so I'm going to take in the state, and there I have the state. Okay, then the next particular thing that I want is the city. All right, so again I'm doing a plus operation on the city, and I got the city. And next I also wanted his or her postal code, so I thought let's go ahead with the postal code, postal address, or postal code, let's say. Yeah, postal address is a field that I've created, so postal code, right? And now if you realize, when you're doing that, this operator is shooting out an error because it says calculation contains errors. And let me just check that. What is the error showing? It can't add string and integer values, right? Everyone seeing that error?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I understand that all of these are basically strings and this is a number and I can't add this. So what do? I need to do a type conversion out over here. Go to type conversion, and out over here you should see something called as string. So string of expression will return that as that particular thing. So right now I want this to be acted as a string because I'm not using the number, I'm rather using it as a location indicator. All right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to do a double click over here, all right, and get the string over here. So now I'm going to take this postal code, all right, and just paste it inside that parenthesis and check if your calculation is valid. Is your calculation valid? Yes, no? Okay, just press OK. Just press OK. So I'm removing this postal address from here. And let me show you how the customer address is going to be looking. All right, so I'm just going to paste this on the rows. And let's see what happens. Can you see that this is not how I would want to see my address, right? This is showing me, so let me just expand this. You know, no commas, what city, this is extremely a bad way of displaying it, right? So I'm going to, you know, possibly enhance how this particular thing is going to be looking. All right, so how do I enhance that? You again go to right click. So now you've seen that, okay, this is not how I want to see it. Go to edit again. All right, and let's assume that after this particular thing I wanted some particular hyphen or something like that after the name. All right. So what am I going to do? Over here, I'm going to use the string, and let's say I push in a hyphen over here and I push in a space. Okay. Then again, I use the plus operator. Okay. And I have my state. So after the state, so let's assume that after the state I needed some, again, a particular comma. Add over here again what I need, a comma over here. So a comma and a space. Okay. And then I've got city. So after the city, I again want a comma and a space. So again a plus, a comma and a space. All right. And out over here, after the postal code, possibly let's say you wanted to have a colon over here. Okay. So a plus over here, and colon and a space. All right. Now where exactly is my error? My error is over here, so I'm going to add a plus sign, and the calculation seems to be valid. Right. Let's press OK. And possibly, okay, there is a comma which I don't like over here. I'm just going to edit that. Before the postal code. Okay, so I don't want to see this, I just want to see a space. Is this a better way to display? Yes, no, everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So you can do type conversions, and you can, concatenate. Similarly, you can use trim function. So another thing that you would, when I'll send you the data for analyzing your results of, different classes, AI, ML, data analytics, or the third IoT batch, you'll understand that possibly, you would have a certain number, right? So let's assume that in the IBM batch, you are having a particular unique code, let's say 1234, all right, and it is preceded by IBM 123, IBM, let's say. So let's assume that your number IBM 1234, okay, and this 1234 is also the last 4 digits of your SAP number, but your SAP number over there is let's assume that you're from the biomedical department, and over there your SAP number is, let's say, BI or BM 1234. Okay, and now you want to join the marks. Let's say you want to join the marks of that particular candidate or with the marks of, so the candidate is same. All right, so he or she has scored a certain particular thing in each of the semesters, okay, which is being displayed by the BM1234 data, and he or she has scored so and so in the IBM exams, and that particular code is given by IBM 1234, right? So now you want to perform a table join on both of them, okay, but you don't know how will you perform the join on them, क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो है आपका BM1234 और यहाँ पे है आपका IBM 1234, but 1234 is common to them, right? So what will I do? Either I'll use the truncation function, or I'll use the is function and use the last 4 digits, or I'll strip the thing to only have the 1234 as the common value, and then what I can do is I can perform a table join. So when I do a table join, automatically what is going to happen, एक साइड पे मुझे पता चल गया है कि मैं टेबल ज्वाइन इन इस 1234 पे करने वाला हूँ. So I'm going to truncate possibly the anything that is below ahead of the 1234. All right, so that may be IBM, that may be IT, that may be CS, whatsoever. It just gets truncated, and because the table join has happened on that 1234, the marks that that particular person got in the IBM, उसके बाजू में क्या आ गया, उसके बाजू में उसका जो 10th 12th या फिर उसका इंजीनियरिंग का जो मार्क्स आ गया है, वो दोनों आपको डेटा एक साथ दिख जाएगा. Is everyone understanding how these string functions can be used? So how your truncation or any of these can be used, because that is what is actually needed. Ki how can I access the data and how can I manipulate the data when it is actually across multiple data sources or multiple sheets. Okay, so I just gave you an explanation of how you can create table joins across multiple data sources. Has everyone understood this? Yes, no, how you can use these functions? Has everyone understood this? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Others, anyone, any questions till here?
No, sir.
All good till here? Okay, all right. So we've understood what exactly are these set of functions, okay, where we've now understood what are quick table calculations. We've understood how to use the calculation editor, which means your functions related to date def or type conversion or truncation, all of these set of functions. Okay, so that completes our quick table calculations and our aggregation, which is the calculation part of it. Okay, now we are moving to something else. Are you okay with continuing, guys, today? Because I am assuming that you all have your exams and all of that. Do you all have a lecture after this? What exactly is your scenario?
Yes, sir, we have a lecture.
Okay. So, okay, your call. Do you want me to stop at this point or do you want me to continue? Pugal, Prachita? Okay, do one thing. Everyone, could you push your hands down first? Let me just have a quick poll. Okay, people who want me to continue the lecture, could you just raise your hands? Okay, so Adrika, okay with closing the lecture then, because you'll have exams on Monday. Adrika, yes, no?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. Okay. Amber,
Yes, sir.
all right. Okay. Arjun, Harsh, are you all okay with closing the lecture?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. All right. Mankirat and Nidhi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prachita and Pugal?
Yes, sir. We have exams, so it is.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can be.
Raj and Yash, are you all okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I'm hoping that you all continue your studies. So we've done a good amount of this particular calculations. I may take in something extra later during the course of the week, so that we are on par. We are of course in par with the second batch in question, so that's not a problem. We could have gone ahead, but today I'm just in a way that possibly not the best time to load you all, considering you all are already loaded with all of this. Okay, so in the next particular thing we'll be looking at these pie charts, then these tree maps. All right, then oh, okay, I forgot one particular thing, I'm so sorry. uh, this just I'll explain this to you all in the next particular thing. Okay, all I want you all to do is just do a try of this calculation. All right, so I'll close it. I'll just explain you what needs to be done by you all. Okay, I want you all to notice how and what will happen if your calculations, if you do not understand how calculations work. Okay, so what I want you to do is, for any particular states or say, region, I want you to take the profit and sales. Okay, so for a particular category, so pick up any particular category. So in this particular case, I've picked up all the three categories. Okay, I want you to push in the profit data. I want you to push in the sales data. Okay, so push in the profit data, push in the sales data, and I want you to create a calculated field called profit ratio. Okay, calculate the profit ratio as ratio of profit by sales. Okay, when you do a calculated value of profit by sales, you'll see a profit ratio in terms of the percentage. So if you do it as percentage value instead of the sum aggregation, you will get a profit ratio. And over here, if you see the two calculations in questions, I'm just going to show you that particular thing. Right click over here, just edit it, you'll see it out over there. All right, so right now again I've changed the calculations, but if you see over here, I've done a sum of profit by sum of sales. Okay, sum of profit by sum of sales, and it's giving me some particular ratio. And in the wrong profit ratio, all right, so which means that which is what Tableau will throw out. Now remember, Tableau will not throw out this actual thing. Tableau will, by default, if you do profit by sales, it will throw out this particular ratio, all right, which is, let me just show you. It will basically take a sum of profit by sales. It is going to, Tableau is going to throw you out this instead of the sum of profit by sum of sales. Okay, what I want you to do is create both of these. All right, create the true profit ratio and create the wrong profit ratio, and check why exactly does one particular thing throw off 1 to 0.3% and the second one throws out 21%. And remember, Tableau will throw out this. Okay, so I want you to figure out what exactly is happening between these two columns. All right, okay, so before we meet for the next time, I would just want you all to do this particular thing, and then we'll head out to other particular things like scatter plot, tree maps and pie chart and all of these. All right, just taking down your attendance. One second. Let me just check if it's coming. Uh, 126. Yeah, looks good. Okay, guys, all the best for your exams. I'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.